We started going to bars more in our respective campuses, Michigan and Wisconsin. We're discovering what a popular bar looks like on college campus with long lines and different ways of getting yourself in the bar, whether that be through, door staff or other apps that were out there trying to do things around cover fee and line skips. And I think we can take this line skipping idea and do the same. We worked on it over winter break, built a super simple website that could get the job done. We didn't have coding experience, so we couldn't build an app. We didn't have any money, so we couldn't pay someone to build the app. We started knocking on doors in Michigan and Wisconsin, and fortunately, a bar in Wisconsin, Whiskey Jack's, gave us a chance. So what happened is Whiskey Jack's had this Thursday night special, 25-cent beer. No one really knew about it. It was like a newer special. I happened to have the entire 40,000 person school email list at Wisconsin from an unnamed source. So I sent out an email, probably against the university guidelines, to all emails of the university. And I said 25-cent beer at Whiskey Jack's. So then that morning in class, I'm sitting there and I hear people all around me like, do you see that special at Whiskey Jack's? Do you see that special? So I knew we were that on top of negative 5-degree weather. I knew we were probably poised for a good night. So we set our little A-frame out, said skip this line, and sure enough, around 8 p.m., there was a massive line down the street. And we started handing out business cards saying, hey, if you don't want to wait, you can skip. And before we knew it, we had a mosh pit of people around us just handing us their phone and credit card, saying, whatever it costs, get me in, don't care, just get me inside. So I battled through damn near frostbite on my toes and fingers, typing away credit card info into these phones. And that was our first night. And that was born LineLeap right after that.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the 1% Podcast. I'm your host, Vin End.
And I'm Shane.
And today we're joined by my man, Max. Welcome to the show, brother.
How's it going, guys? Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into this with you, man. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff today. We're going to talk about your story, what it took, how you were at some points almost not going to make it in entrepreneurship, but you figured out the ways. You got through the down bad moments in your life, and you've built now one of the fastest growing companies in the I don't even know if line leaping space is the proper term, but that's what it is.
Friends.
Right? He's done a lot. He's going to talk to us about what it takes to really build a gritty company, how to get through the hardest parts of entrepreneurship, some of the most interesting ways to start raising some capital. I mean, might be very interesting or it could be very obvious. You guys get to decide that. And most importantly, I think this is really, really the biggest one, is Max is going to talk all about what the biggest and most important foundational pieces of himself in this journey were. Because really, guys, a lot of the times what people are struggling with is their mindset and the way to know if they have what it takes to truly be an entrepreneur. Max is that definition, folks. He is an entrepreneur through and through. He's got the persona, the personality, and the mindset to get him there. And he's going to share all of that with us today. So Max, without further ado, dude, let's dive on in. All right, Max. So let's get into your story. I'm super curious to hear it. I'm sure our listeners are too. Can you tell us a little bit about what your journey's been like from the early days to the boy who had no clue to the man that's built one of the hottest, fastest, and greatest companies in the market?
Absolutely. So the LineLeap story starts about 9 years ago, but going a year and a half before that to when I met one of my co-founders and business partners, Patrick Skelly. So I started LineLeap with Patrick and Nick. But prior to that, going into my freshman year of college at Wisconsin, I was introduced to a food delivery startup. They were actually looking for delivery riders on campus, to which me and my incoming roommate were anxious to make more money and decided to hop on and started off as delivery drivers for this food delivery startup on college campuses, and soon became campus managers, soon worked our way up as the heads of marketing, to which I was introduced to Patrick at the University of Michigan. And between Patrick, myself, and my roommate, we expanded that food delivery company from just 3 campuses to about 30 in a year and a half's time. So we got to get our hands dirty with everything from the marketing to signing on restaurants to hiring campus managers at all the expansion markets, hiring delivery drivers, delivering ourselves. So we did a little bit of everything in that year and a half, and really just kind of fell in love with startups and what it takes to grow a company. And to get that experience as a freshman was kind of incredible, and being able to just learn it and work with the founders. We moved out to the Bay Area for a summer and lived with the founders in their house to work on it. So just overall great experience. And after about a year and a half on that, we ended up selling it to a bigger competitor in the food delivery space. And as we were kind of going through that acquisition process, we started going to bars more in our respective campuses, Michigan and Wisconsin. And we're discovering what a popular bar looks like on college campus, with long lines and different ways of getting yourself in the bar, whether that be through door staff, or other apps that were out there trying to do things around cover fee and line skips. And we figured, hey, we just expanded this app to 30 campuses. I think we can take this line skipping idea and do the same. And that was born LineLeap right after that. So about halfway through our sophomore year, we thought of the idea. We worked on it over winter break, built a super simple website that could get the job done. We didn't have coding experience, so we couldn't build an app. We didn't have any money, so we couldn't pay someone to build the app. So we just wanted to do the easiest route possible to see if this idea had any legs. So we built a very simple website. We started knocking on doors in Michigan and Wisconsin, and fortunately, a bar in Wisconsin, Whiskey Jack's, gave us a chance, and we launched on a -5-degree February night in Madison, Wisconsin. I happened to have the entire 40,000 person school email list at Wisconsin from an unnamed source. So what happened is Whiskey Jack's had this Thursday night special, 25-cent beer. And no one really knew about it. It was like a newer special. And our goal was, let's just blow this special up, make sure everyone knows about it, pack this bar out. When they get a line, we'll be there for that first night with LineLeap, and it will be born and known to the world. So I sent out an email, probably against the university guidelines, to all emails of the university. And I said 25-cent beer at Whiskey Jack's. So then that morning in class, I'm sitting there and I hear people all around me like, do you see that special at Whiskey Jack's? Do you see that special? So I knew we were that on top of -5-degree weather. I knew we were probably poised for a good night. So we set our little A-frame out, said skip this line. And sure enough, around 8 p.m., there was a massive line down the street. We started handing out business cards saying, hey, if you don't want to wait, you can skip. And before we knew it, we had a mosh pit of people around us just handing us their phone and credit card, saying, whatever it costs, get me in. Don't care, just get me inside. So I battled through damn near frostbite on my toes and fingers, typing away credit card info into these phones. And that was our first night. So that was back in 2017. From there, we would spend our summers not getting internships and not getting jobs, but loading into our car, traveling campus to campus, pounding on doors, trying to get any bar to say yes to us, which we were not very good at to start. Walking in as a 21-year-old, we'd get laughed out of a lot of bars or just ignored or you name it. So we got told no hundreds and hundreds of times throughout the summer, but just kept plugging away. And every once in a while, we'd get a timely yes. We would generate some revenue. We'd talk to their competitor down the street, get them signed on, and just kind of let that snowball over time. So that's how we'd spend our summer breaks and time during the school year when we did have time to travel, and just slowly chipped away. And every year got a little bit better. We got more and more bars on board. We generate more and more revenue. And then kind of came like a turning point my junior year where finally my parents were like, you gotta start making some money somehow. So whether that be a job or an internship or anything, but the payments are starting to pile up. So I said, all right, just give me a little bit more time. And we started to enroll in some business plan competitions. So we entered into a spring competition at Wisconsin, and I pitched. I talked to the judges. It was a 2-day ordeal, and to our surprise, we ended up winning the $15,000 grand prize for that competition. So I called my mom up and said, "Hey, I don't need to get that job this summer anymore. We got one more in us before we need to start looking elsewhere." So that was a huge momentum shift for us. It allowed us to do it for just one more year. And kind of our biggest thing is just the longer you stay in the game, the more you give yourself chances, the more you give yourself the opportunity to get lucky. So that summer was huge for us. We signed some massive bars. We started to generate meaningful revenue. We started to grow a lot faster. We applied for Y Combinator going into our senior year of college. We ended up getting accepted that summer. So that was the real turning point for us, where we went through that program in the summer of 2019. We raised a couple $1 million in venture funding. We made some full-time hires on the tech side, the sales side that just catapulted us. We then went through COVID, which was a massive shakeup where we had to pivot a little bit and do some reservations and just help bars generate revenue in a time that was hectic for them and obviously hectic for us when our business relies on crowded bars and long lines, and you take both of those things away. Our business went to zero overnight. So it was scary. But instead of just kind of throwing in the towel and giving up, we got creative. We figured out a way to pivot for the short term, generate these bars revenue in a time where they desperately needed it. And our philosophy was, if they don't make money and they die, then we're going to die. So we just got to help them make money any way possible. And that was our focus for that year and a half of weirdness. And then coming out of COVID, we were off to the races. We were growing like crazy. We added a ton of users, added a ton of bars. Fast forward to today, we're at over 600 bars across 120 different college campuses and cities. We have 1.5 million users on the app. So it's been super exciting, such a fun journey. And we feel like we're just scratching the surface and we have a long way to go.
Man.
You know what I love about that story? It's pretty easy. Hustlers. This is what it takes to be an entrepreneur, to be a business owner. You hit the pavement, right? You had debt pile up. Mom and dad are like, you got to get out. You got to get a job. And you're like, one more chance. You hustled it in there too. 15 grand to get there. COVID knocked you down to the bottom. You stuck it out. This is amazing. This is what the 1% podcast truly is. Because when you're backed into a corner, you have two options. You chose the right option. You chose to grind it out, and look where you guys are now. I mean, it gave me goosebumps you telling me the story, because I felt like I was battling that 5-degree weather with you in there. Like I had like goosebumps getting in there too, targeting away like credit cards and like, the extreme cold, like, oh man, but that's what it takes, is that grind mentality. So, okay. The story was so great. I just thank you for sharing.
I appreciate that.
Where we're at now, August 11th, 2025, where is this going? Are you strictly going to stick with bars and lines? Are you expanding into anything else here? What's the growth plan here? And you mentioned, I want to add one more thing too. You mentioned the longer that you stay in, the more chances you have. Is the plan to eventually exit and do something else, or are you planning to world domination here?
Yeah, our goal is to build a $1 billion business. That's something that was kind of instilled in us when we went through Y Combinator. When we first started this, we thought, man, it'd be pretty cool to work on this full time postgraduate, right? Like that was the goal. Like it would just be cool to earn an income, be able to continue to work on this with my, good friends, Patrick and Nick, and just continue this. And then when we got into Y Combinator, they totally shifted our mindset. And it's like, if you're not trying to build a multi-billion-dollar business, the door's over there, get out. So and like, we kind of struggled with that at first, right? It's like, well, what's wrong with like a $10 million business or $100 million business?
Everything.
Right. Exactly. so
Brokies.
so they shifted our mindset to think bigger. And we knew we had this core product in skipping the line at popular bars that worked, but right then and there sort of started the process of like, what's next? How big can we grow this? And today, we do have more than just line skips. We handle the cover entry at doors. Students these days and young adults are going cashless super fast. No one carries cash anymore. So the convenience of having it on the app, being able to offer perks that go along with that too. The bars having now a CRM platform where they can see, Shane, how many times have you come to my bar? Okay, I can target you with certain notifications and offers and things like that. So it's become this whole CRM platform for the bars beyond just the brand new revenue they make. So for them, it's this new revenue stream, but then it's also their best marketing engine. Whereas in the past, they relied on word of mouth and Instagram, and that's about it. So it's shifted towards that. We're handling event ticketing. We've started to explore the space with, outside of just bars, but event venues, mini festivals, even arenas and things like that. So it's definitely going to expand beyond just the bars. However, our bars are our bread and butter. We feel like there's still a lot of green grass with those. But our brand is Fun Faster, and we want to be the kind of catalyst to your most fun events and provide a seamless interaction with your core memories, with your best friends at your favorite venues, at your favorite events. So that's our vision. And that's what we're after. And, again, we feel like we're just scratching the surface here today on August 11th, but, we're definitely on the right path.
I wore the right polo today. My previous business to this was Restaurant Secret Weapon. We essentially it's a digital marketing company that would create ads for restaurants to get more people in through the door. And then from there, we would give them discounts, offers, coupons to entice them back in. The biggest thing that you said is the database. The customer is creating their own radio station that they can essentially hit at any point they want to. You have a list, you have a database of 1,000 people, 5,000 people, 10,000 people. What would it be if we could send them an email, a text message, an advertisement, whatever the case that you want, bring them in. Building your own radio station for restaurants, for bars, for anything is massive. It beats anything besides like a QR code that's there on the table. How well did we do? Or something like that. So I think it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So
Ben, go ahead.
Yeah.
Take it into the marketing aspects here now.
Right. Back off. He's mine. So I feel like we've left just tons of undiscovered territory by jumping to the present. Like we have to go back into his story real quick because we went too far forward, and we'll get back here, Shane. We'll get back here. But Max, we got to ask, because we got to dive in. We got to get some of those nuggets, right? Yeah. You went through a lot. One of the biggest things, getting laughed and out of bars and said no to and all that. I would love to know, what is one of the biggest things that you've learned in going through that experience? Like, how did that shape your sales approach? How did you get better at selling? Because I think one of the biggest struggles that a lot of entrepreneurs, newer or even the entrepreneurs have, is that they suck at sales. Right? Because sales gives you what? It gives you the blood of the business. It gives you the life of the business. And so if you can't master sales, what are you doing? So what did you wind up learning through that experience? How did it shape the sales approach for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everything kind of comes down to relationships, and that's what we're really good at. I would, to toot our own horn a little bit, that's what we are good at today. We weren't as 21-year-olds. Our literal strategy was like almost how fast can we get in and out of this bar to not bother them? Like we didn't want to be like a nuisance or like annoying. And that was kind of going about it all wrong, versus developing that relationship, getting them to like us for who we are before they even like our app or our idea. And
how'd you do that?
But it came down to resilience in the early days, again, because it took us a little bit to learn that and build that relationship. And some of that comes with just, you got to earn that respect to some extent. And we did that by just expanding and growing and becoming legit, quote unquote. But really in the early days, it was the resilience of we just kept showing up. So, I mean, there are many, many bars on our platform today that told us no 3, 4, 6, 8 times for 5 years. There's still bars that have told us no since day one that we are continuously calling on and are truly confident that they will eventually be with us. So it's sort of that like almost diabolical mentality of like, we would laugh it off. They would laugh us out the door instead of quitting or getting discouraged, which listen, we're not the first ones with a line skipping idea. There have been many people and many apps that have tried this exact idea and all have failed because it's hard and the sales is hard and it's time consuming. You're going door to door. It's hand to hand combat. These bar owners do not respond to emails. You can't get a hold of them. No one's giving you their phone number. And even if they do, they're not going to respond. It is hand to hand, face to face combat that you have to be willing to do. And oftentimes you're going to be told no immediately. And it's battling that no and not taking that as the final answer. So we would show up again and again and again. Maybe we signed the bar down the street and started generating revenue. We come back, we show them, or we signed a bar similar to theirs in another campus. We'd come back, we'd show them. And eventually you get the timely yeses. You start to generate revenue. You're able to show that revenue to the other bars, continuously show up. Now they start to respect us because, okay, they're not going away easy. And we're also not being annoying, but we're not going away easy. And eventually they come around. So it's just this cyclical thing that we just got used to. So then as you build up that confidence where, okay, that bar told us no 5 times and then finally said yes, then we can do this over and over again. And it's just a matter of just showing up. And that's how we just slowly chipped away and built it.
And how, during all of that, see, because it's the lows that get to people, right?
Yep.
Instead of quitting, you double down. So how did you wind up staying even keel through all of that? How did you maintain good composure, be able to laugh it off? Like, is it a mindset thing? What was it that kept you so grounded?
Yeah, again, it's like hard to describe, but it it was a mindset thing because we just did not let it bother us, and it's not like we had to try to not let it bother us. For whatever reason, it didn't, and I think it comes down to the timely successes we did have. Because had we had no bar ever tell us yes, obviously there'd be a time to quit if you can't get a single one. We would get a couple to say yes, and we would generate revenue, and that would give us the confidence that this can work no matter what they tell us. And we start off heavy in the Big Ten, being that I went to Wisconsin, my 2 partners went to Michigan. So, and they're the closest drives for us. So we would bounce around the Big Ten. And as we started to drop down to the SEC, it was like, you guys don't understand. Like, football's different down here. It's a religion. You don't, like, this isn't going to work down here like it does in the Big Ten. And like, we just learned over the years that every bar thinks they're unique, and they're just not. Like, the college students are the same. Yes, football may be treated differently, but like, we've seen every type of bar now. We promise you this has worked at an exact identical bar in a different market as you. So again, it just kind of gave us a confidence that like, we're in a new market, but it's same old, and this will work here too.
Okay. Now it's going to be past and present. This is something that Ben and I have talked about a while, and we see differently on it. So I think it's great that we actually have a success here today. Partnerships, especially partnerships for 9 years. You have 2 of them.
Partnerships.
Yeah, you have 2 of them from what it sounds like.
Yep.
You've gone through your lowest of lows. You've battled through COVID. You've battled through massive rejection of door knocking and cold calling. And you still maintain not just relationship, it seems like it's very close friendship, best friends, and business partners. How did you decide that these 2 guys were the ones that you wanted to build this business?
Yeah. You know, the relationship that me, Patrick, and Nick have, I think is one of our biggest assets, and has been for the last, 9 years. So I met Patrick through that first startup we did. And from there, we were fast friends. I had moved out to the Bay Area. He's from the Bay Area originally, so he was already out there, but I had moved out there. We were staying in the founder's house of that first startup. And we would travel around California together, going to sign on restaurants at the campuses in California, take a weekend trip to Yosemite. We would work day and night together and really just got along and like liked each other, liked the work we were doing, liked working with one another and kind of collabed well. And then Nick came into the picture when Patrick met him at Michigan. Nick was a grade below us. He was trying to start his own startup around restaurants, and his friends like, you got to talk to Patrick Skelly. He runs, the biggest food delivery company on college campuses. And so those two met, and Patrick introduced me to him. And again, right from the start, we kind of all had our strengths that just complemented one another. And that just carried its way through. Like we don't have to check in on each other of, are you doing your work? Like it's this like blind trust for one another that we just know if I'm controlling this side of the business and Patrick's got this and Nick's got that, we just know it's getting done and it's getting done well. And there's really no second guessing it. And that's how it's just always been. And we all work super hard and it was just right from the start that relationship kind of was just rock solid. When I graduated from Wisconsin, I moved to Ann Arbor to live with those two. And then we moved to New York together and lived together there. So we've lived together for 5 of the 9 years we've been working together. And it was only until both Patrick and I got engaged that our fiancés, who were also living with us in the same apartment, were finally like, I think we need our own space. So what did we do? Patrick moved three doors down. I moved 3 floors down. We're all in the same apartment complex still, but have our own space. So yeah, it's been, we have traveled the country together. We have lived together. We have worked together literally every single day for the last 9 years. And Patrick actually just had his wedding about a month ago. And I joked that outside of his wife, I've probably shared a bed with him more than anyone in the world. So we have slept in our car together when we couldn't afford hotels. We have shared many hotel rooms. We still do. It's something like funny that we still do even now when we have money to spend and whatever. We still opt to share a hotel room for work trips because it keeps us like the old days.
Is there any advice that you can give besides, I mean, you felt like you met somebody that was similar to you, right? As far as strong work ethic, self-motivated, but is there any advice that you can give on like choosing a business partner? Is it just, he was like-minded, I saw that it was there, and right? Because obviously you guys have such strong chemistry there, but I feel like people get fooled all the time. Was there any hesitation year 1, year 2, year 4, year 8, whatever the case may be? Like, I'm not so sure about this guy. Because I think that's the biggest thing that people struggle with partnerships is that blind trust. They don't have that there, that they have to either micromanage one side of the aspect. I know you have just winning partners, but was there any hesitancy or anything like that, or advice you can give on how you chose, okay, we're definitely making this guy an equal partner?
Yeah, I mean, no hesitation. And like, I like, that's where I think we're lucky too. Like by all means, there's luck involved in everything. You create your own luck, of course, but we are fortunate to have found one another. And I think it's not so dissimilar to finding your life partner, right? Like these are guys that I live with and want to work with for a very long time. And we're young, we're still in our 20s, and we want to work on this for a long time and create it into something massive. And even beyond that, whatever is next after this LineLeap life. So I think there's been no hesitancy. And I think it was just through trial and error and working with one another that is built up. Like you got to obviously earn that trust and earn that. But with the 3 of us, it's been kind of from the start, and it's just through all the ups and downs, we've just learned that Nick is really good at this, Patrick is really good at that, I'm really good at this, and we just trust each other to do it. And I mean, like, obviously we'll bicker at times, we'll disagree at times, but for living with one another, traveling with one another, working with one another, like, it's honestly been pretty remarkable how the relationship has just stayed connected and grown stronger and stronger. And I think that's something we always come back to too. If we are bickering about something or we don't see eye to eye, it is important to understand that, like, above all else, we need to maintain this relationship with one another because it is the rock. It is one of our strong suits. It is what has gotten us to this point and kept us in this game for as long as we've been in it. So we can't lose that. And no one decision and no one argument can be bigger than that.
So I'm curious too, because actually now I have this question. You went through Y Combinator, and was it at the time, was it like all of you guys, or was only one? How does that program wind up working? Like how was that whole process decided?
Yeah. So it was all of us that went through it, although, and I guess I'll backtrack to kind of the start of it. So we had started to pick up traction. We'd won a couple of these business plan competitions. And every startup knows what Y Combinator is. And for some, it's a good fit. For others, it's not. For us, we knew it would be a good fit if we got in, but the chances are so low. It's a 2% acceptance rate. It's very tough. And so we applied, and we got an interview. That interview was during finals week. So we had to fly out during finals week to go do the in-person interview in San Francisco, and then fly back and finish our finals. And then got notified that we were in for that summer. So the issue with it is, as I alluded to earlier, the summers is where we would travel and go sign on bars. So it was a bit of a, contradiction or issue that the program is going on in the summer. So we just did a really good job, again, knowing each other's strengths. We did a really good job of just divvying up the workload. And YC did a good job of saying, where do you need to be? Do you need to be here in San Francisco, or do you need to be on the road? If you need to be on the road, go get on the road. We can do our meetings virtually or in person when you're in town, but go do what you got to do to grow the business. So we divvied it up very nicely, and Patrick and Nick spent most of their focus going through the program, whereas I would hit the road, go to the colleges, kind of sign on bars. They would do the same in the downtime, but we just kind of divvied up that workload and made it through the program. And really, the kind of core of that program was, yes, to think big, and the mentors were great and they helped us think through certain things. But really it was the demo day where we were able to pitch in front of the top VCs in the world and angel investors, and go through that whole process and raise the money that we needed to, again, our first dream of being able to work on this full time after graduation was fulfilled and made true through that, where, post YC, we raised a couple $1 million and we were able to, build from there.
How did you wind up acquiring the investors that you got? Was it, it was through YC? Was it through networking? How does one go about the process of really finding good qualified investors that are excited to invest in their products?
Yeah. I mean, it starts with building, right? You first got to build, and to YC's point, build something people want. So it starts with that. And a lot of startups will reach out and ask, how do you find investors? How do you do it? It's YC helped because yes, we were put in a room in front of hundreds of investors that were able to hear our story, talk to us after our pitch, get to know us more, and then invest. And then it just kind of snowballs from there through network effects and introductions and whatnot. But first and foremost, we had to build something that could put us in the spot to have that conversation. And then, ironically enough, throughout the years too, it was a lot of our venues. They saw the benefits. They were making a lot of money from it, that they wanted to reinvest and get involved. And then, they knew people that wanted to invest, or that were, angel investors or had excess income. So kind of every single one of our investors has been through an introduction or through a mutual connection of someone involved with us. And that's why it's so hard for me sometimes to explain how to raise money or how to find these investors, because it just happened over time, and it happened through us focusing on, first and foremost, building a good company. Secondly, if we need to raise money, here's how we're going to do it. We're going to talk to these people. They're going to introduce us to others, so on and so forth. And it kind of builds from there.
Makes sense. It's an interesting process, right? So let me ask you this. You had this guerrilla marketing strategy. you're going door to door or bar to bar. There's a lot of different things that you did there. And then recently I saw the announcement on your Instagram. You guys had acquired a competitor, right? You guys acquired was it BuzzPass? Was that
Yep.
right? BuzzPass. So
Yep.
how did you come to the determination? Because I think this is another really interesting question, right? Like, when is it time, or how do you start knowing when to make aggressive moves towards your competitor? Like, what was it like buying the business, going through that process, and then starting to integrate them?
Yeah, great question. I mean, and it's quite honestly, it was the first time we had to go through it. So it was all new for us. But again, like throughout the years, building, the connections we have and some of the, more experienced, employees we've brought on that have been there, done that, been through these things, were a huge, huge help in that process. But yeah, going back to it, like a lot of companies have tried this idea and a lot have failed because it's hard and it's hard to sign bars. And especially when we have a 600 bar head start, it's even harder because we build these relationships. We rely on our relationships. It's borderline impossible to take them from us. This app BuzzPass did a good job targeting markets that we weren't in. And we identified that and we approached them and we had conversations and we built a relationship with them, gained kind of their trust. We gained, and vice versa. And it just made sense. And it made sense for them to kind of join forces with us, and it would help accelerate their growth and their careers as well, being young founders. So bringing them on board just made sense at the time. And again, it was our first time going through it. So there's things we learned, and it was ultimately a smooth process. And they, beyond the fact that they had a similar idea and were in markets, we weren't quite in yet. They also just fit our DNA and they fit our company culture, and they were hard workers. They were doing a lot of the same stuff we did 5-6 years ago to get it done. So it's impossible not to respect that, and impossible not to notice that. So really, it was a good fit to bring them in, and it's been a good last couple of months having them on board.
I love it. So I got this other question for you, because obviously you've done a lot. You guys have expanded super quick. You guys have, first up, you got these co-founders. You've gone through these the Y Combinator. You've done this acquisition. There's so much that you guys have done. What would you say has been like the secret sauce behind keeping your relationships great with your co-founders, keeping the strength in your leadership team and your team dynamics? Like, what's been massively helpful for you? Because going through all of these growth processes, these stressors, these expansions and contractions, I mean, dude, you guys had to have been tested in some of the greatest ways. So what's your secret sauce there? How do you maintain those relationships so well with those people closest to you?
Yeah. I mean, I think having fun, really. I mean, that's been a huge part of this, is like, we get to do this. We don't have to do this. Right. And, we get to work with our best friends every day and live with one another and travel the country together and go visit some of the coolest and baddest bars at some of the most fun college campuses across the country. Like, if we're not having fun working on this, then we shouldn't be working on it. So I think that's what's kind of gotten us through the lows, is like, again, we were sleeping in our car because we couldn't afford the hotel on a game day weekend in Penn State. Right. So it's like, if we can have fun while sleeping in our car with no money, nothing can bring us down. So I think it's sort of that mindset. And like, again, meeting these bars and these bar owners throughout the years, and meeting the investors and our partners that have helped us chase this dream, is what makes it all worth it. And we're super fortunate with some really cool investors that own sports teams, world-renowned DJs, are in this entertainment industry that, and then on top of that, you have these bar owners that run the coolest, best bars in the country that we get to go visit and hang out with and learn from. And, what are you focusing on as business? How can we help further your business? like problem solving, all that is, it makes every day unique. It makes every day different. I have no idea where I'm going to be next week, but I know I'm going to be somewhere like that. Like just the unknown and kind of embracing that chaos is just fun. And again, I think that's in large part what has made this such a great journey, and you know, leaving us with 9 years in, still wanting so much more, and knowing that there's still so much more, and not being burnt out, or things that happen to startup founders quite frequently. It's just, it's not something on our radar. We love what we do. We have great partners. We have great investors. We have great team. And it makes it super enjoyable.
This is more on the advice type of question. I got asked this actually last week, and I had to think about it for a couple of minutes. So if I had to redo my company 6 years ago to expedite it and to learn from my mistakes, what would you do differently? What would you tell young Max, or any advice that you could essentially give out there to entrepreneurs?
It's a great question. And it's honestly a hard one, right? Because I look back and I cherish kind of all those things. And honestly, it might go to like sort of a piece of advice where it's like, it doesn't need to be perfect for you to start. Like, sure, if I could go back 6 years and we could have all the AI tools that we have now, I'm sure we would have built our app in record speed compared to what we did with this. I'm sure our marketing materials would have looked way more professional from the get-go, and maybe got us that respect a little bit quicker. You know, but like, again, we started as 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds, not knowing hardly a thing, and just learned as we went. And that was like part of the beauty of it too. Like, these bar owners sense that, like, wearing our backpack coming in time after time, you know, they finally just like almost feeling bad for us and like giving us a chance. But no, so it's like, you know, again, like we didn't wait till we had the perfect app. We didn't wait till we had the best marketing strategy ever. We just said, we have this idea. Let's put together the most basic platform we can to collect payments and get people in the door, and build from there and see if this works. So I think that's like a piece of advice in a way of, it does not need to be perfect, and you cannot wait till it's perfect, because it never will be, and you'll never stop iterating and coming up with new ideas and new features and new designs and all that. Just get it out in the world, test it, iterate, talk to your customers, talk to your partners, make changes, go from there. So I think like, I almost wouldn't change a thing. Of course, if I had to do it over today, I'm sure we could build it in a year instead of 8 years. But ultimately, I think the lessons you learn along the way are important. And it's impossible to just start perfect. You're never going to be able to do it.
That mindset there, that hustler mentality, I feel like that's slowly going away as well. Like, that truly is the 1%. Like, people have a really tough time door knocking, especially for as long as you did. And also in the summer, like when you just want to have fun when everybody else is having fun from, you know, 9 months of school. Like, the last thing you want to do now is go hit the pavement and knock on doors, compared to all your buddies are actually at bars, you know, having fun or doing whatever it is. So I feel that that's truly that 1% mentality. I keep coming back to that. It's just, it's amazing to see that, you know, you did that compared to that time where that's not what I would have been doing. 99% of other people, they would have been having fun. You built a business during school. I'm assuming you three, did you guys graduate and finish too as well?
We did. Barely, but but just in the nick of time. It definitely crossed our mind a few times, but we were in so deep. You know, we only had a semester left, and we were going through YC, and trust me, it was all we were focused on. But luckily, I had good friends, and I would oftentimes, you know, trade line skips and say, hey, I'll get you into this bar tonight if you help me with the homework. So I made some exchanges, and some good people helped me through and cross that finish line.
Very smart.
It's integrity though, right? You finish what you started. That's all what degrees are, right? Those things that are behind Vin right there, you finished, you accomplished something. And then on top of that, you built an empire while you actually finished. I mean, it's respectable.
Thank you.
You know, it's funny because when you're telling your story, it reminds me of me at, I think I was 17. No, I was 18 because I had a car. And I wanted this job at this liquor store that was near my house. And so it was it was going to be a seasonal job. So I walked in, handed in my resume, and I said, you know, hi, I'd like to apply for the job of being stock boy. And they said, oh, okay, well, you know, we get a lot of resumes. We're not hiring right now. And I said, all right, when do you think you'll be hiring? And they said, well, we're probably looking somewhere around maybe like September, November as the holidays get busy. Mind you, it was like June that I walk in, right? So they said, okay, no problem. And so I started going in every single week. And every week I'd walk in and I'd say, hi, I'm Vin Infante. I'm here to check on the status of my resume. And eventually they started calling the manager. His name was Anthony. And so Anthony would have to come out and then I'd be like, hi, I'm Vin Infante. I'm here to check on the status of my resume. Is Anthony here? So we'd call Anthony to the front. Anthony would come to the front. He'd open the drawer. He'd look for my resume. He'd put it back on top of the pile. And I would do this every single week until it was about now late September. I come in, I'm like, hi, I'm Vin Infante. I know who you are. I'm like, yeah, I'm just here to check my resume status. So they call Anthony. Anthony comes out. He was about to come out to the front, or he does come out to the front. As soon as he sees me, he's just like, you're hired. You start Tuesday. And he just walked back into the office.
That's awesome.
It's the persistency that truly works, man. It's one of the biggest things. And so I'm curious too, actually, because I think in our pre-questionnaire form, we asked you like something along the lines of like, what's your superpower? And you wrote down it was effort, work ethic, and attitude, or at least that's what I'm reading here. So I'm curious, how do you, aside from that grit, right? Like aside from just going in and doing the thing every single day and freaking hammering away at it, how do you actually apply all of that stuff? Is it a way that you choose to look at life? Is it a way you choose to look at people, business? Is it all the above? Like, what does it actually mean to have attitude, effort, and work ethic all wrapped into one superpower for you? Yeah.
So we this was a few months ago. We actually wrote kind of the LineLeap DNA. And we gave that to the company. There's about 60 of us full time now, so you know we're growing, and we wanted this DNA to be hung up on their desk and posted in the office, and just a constant daily reminder. And one of those DNAs is sleep in the car, paying homage to our days where we would literally sleep in the car and do whatever it takes. But really, what that means is like going above and beyond, doing the dirty work, and simply outworking the competitor, outworking the person next to you. And I think I've never been the smartest one. I've never claimed to be. But what I can do is outwork anyone, and I can put my mind to it. And we've shown that throughout the years through the resilience and through our work ethic that we are willing to do whatever it takes for however long it takes. And I don't think many people are capable of that, especially if going toe to toe with us. So we will always outwork the person next to us. And then another one is attitude and effort, being the two things that you can control every day or choose to control. So we want to strive to always have a positive attitude, bring the energy, bring the attitude, you know, and good things will typically follow if you're just positive, energetic, enthusiastic, excited to be there, you know, all those things. And then your effort. You can control your effort on a day-to-day basis. You can decide if today you want to show up or not show up. So we are going to choose to every day bring a good effort, outwork the person next to us, and do it with a positive attitude and have fun doing it. So I think those things are super important. I think they're the ingredients to winning. Winning is obviously important in sports and business and in life, and winning is contagious. So I think, you know, those things leading to wins and wins snowballing into more wins is how you build momentum as an organization, as a company, and continue to kind of just piece that together for growth throughout the years.
I have an interesting follow-up that's coming from this, actually. I think one of the biggest issues a lot of entrepreneurs and companies struggle with is hiring and integrating the right people. Yep. So you have your company's ethos, you have your personal ethos, you've went through the DNA, which I assume is mission, vision, and value statements, right? Yep. How do you hire? What is your process for finding those people that you believe will actually embody and embrace those things that you've just said is massively important to having, a strong company? And, what does that process look like for you?
Yeah. So we use that DNA in the hiring process, right? You have to match that DNA, especially with a startup, and especially with a startup in the nightlife industry. Our hours are whack. So, I mean, we're making our money from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m., right? Mm-hmm. So we need to have customer support on it all times of the day. We need to have venue support on it all times of the day. We got venues hitting us up when they're making their money, we're making ours, and it's late at night, it's weird hours. So above all, you have to be willing to embrace this chaos. You have to be willing to embrace these crazy hours. There isn't this work-life balance. Like, you are joining a startup. You are joining like I said, you are joining the chaos. So, we almost try to scare the applicants, because it's like, if you think you know what you're getting into, right, you don't. And you need to be ready to take this head on, and you need to be ready to pick up the phone at any time of night. And you have to have a founder's mentality. You have to have an owner's mentality. And every employee we hire gets equity. So they are truly owners, in the business, and they can feel that. We want that founder mindset. We want that owner mindset. We all have a million things we're doing every single day. We can't hold your hand through every task. We don't want to. We can't micromanage. We don't want to micromanage. You're an owner. You own your task. You do what you think is best. We're giving you, the tools to make it happen, and we're here to help. But ultimately, you have to have that owner's mindset, and you have to embrace the chaos. So, that's the process we go through. It can turn people away, but then it leads us to finding the best talent. And I think beyond that too, we're not always looking for the most qualified. For some positions, yes, that does matter. But really, above all else, are you willing to work hard, show up with a positive attitude, and give it your best effort every day to learn the job, learn what it takes, and ultimately develop the tools? We would much rather have the person that's willing to learn it and work super hard than a person that is experienced in it but isn't willing to embrace the grind, embrace the craziness, embrace the hours. That's just ultimately not gonna work out for us.
You're dealing with a very interesting. You're in your 20s still, correct?
Yes.
So you're dealing with the younger generation right now, which I guess is you guys and you and a little bit younger, right? And a lot of people say they're like the laziest generation right now, right? They say they don't have work ethic, they don't want to work. I mean, so now it's really interesting. How do you find that that's true? Do you find that navigating this is difficult? I mean, you're depending on people that are going to be young and energetic and already labeled as lazy as shit, to not be lazy as shit and not go and get drunk at bars and actually make sales and help people. Like, how's your company surviving and growing?
Yeah. I mean, well, truth be told too, we have a very expanded age, kind of age demographic for our employees. And we have a lot of great people that do come with years of experience, have been there, done that. And then we also have our fair share of fresh out of school. And I think it's a really good mix. And again, it goes back to, how did you get the investors? How did you do? We focused on building a good company and a good product that naturally draws talent in and draws top talent in. Then it's up to us to sift out and find that, who is truly a good fit. But we have just attracted that top talent through what we've built. There are people that have been in the industry for 20, 30, 40 years that are taking a chance on us, but it's because they like what they see, they like what we've built, and they want to be a part of it and feel like they can help take us to the next level. And we feel that same way. On the same hand, we're in, 100 different college campuses across the country, and we're the most used app of those college students, for argument's purpose. So they also want to come work for this company and for LineLeap and think it's cool. Now, we have to tell them, although it is very fun, it's not going to be as cool as you think. It's going to be long hours, late hours, a lot of hard work. And so it attracts a top talent too that wants to be part of a startup, wants to get their hands dirty, wants to learn a lot, and be part of something special. So I think we're kind of able to draw from both sides of the spectrum and everything in between. And it's helped us put together an A+ team. And, another one of our DNA is raise the bar. And that means, we want the top talent, we want to foster the top talent, and we want to push each other, and raise the bar for each other to be the best. So that's something that we don't take lightly and something we shoot for every day.
Love it. Awesome.
How did LineLeap even come up? Like over a bar, drinking conversation? Like it's such a cool name, and you understand what it is right away, but who takes credit for it?
It's a good question because we don't fully remember, which is funny. But like how I remember it was we were just spitballing ideas in a group chat, and just coming up with different things, and the alliteration sounded nice. And again, it's like it's very obvious what it is. And it's clear, what we're trying to do. And then it's cool too, because throughout the years, I remember this vividly, like one of the first times we visited Penn State. Penn State's one of our biggest markets. And we were there on a game day weekend, and I was just standing on the corner in between like 3 different bars, and the lines were crazy. And I could just hear every single person walking by me. And I just stood there and just listened. And they're all like, "Are you guys LineLeaping? Did you get LineLeap? What's LineLeap at that bar? Are you guys LineLeaping?" And it was like used as this verb and like action, and everybody was talking about it. And I was just like,
hell yeah,
this is crazy. I think we're on to something here. And so,
love it.
Yeah, the name has definitely become recognizable. And it's really cool to see its evolution throughout the years.
It's like when people say Google it. I love it.
Yep.
My man is the new Google for drunk people. I love it. So all right, we are coming close to the end here, my friend. I got a few final questions for you, a little bit of rapid fire, if you will. But I don't know, it may not be that rapid fire. I thought it'd be cool to say rapid fire, but realistically, you can answer it as slow as it needs to be. So tell us this. What, as we're kind of closing out this business portion or all these other great questions, what's one of the first KPIs that you find to be really important that you like to check when it comes to like building and growing your business? What do you think is one of the most important metrics? Yeah,
for us, it's revenue. Because that revenue is what we're generating for these bars, which is, again, what we're here for. If our bars aren't succeeding or our partners, then neither are we. So, we pride ourselves on bars being able to generate a significant additional revenue stream through this, straight to their bottom line with no cost of goods, no cost of labor. So it's something that we take great pride in. And ultimately that then shows the health of our business overall too. If the revenue coming through is what gives us the run rate, the ability to continue to grow and hire, great people and sign on more great bars and continue generating revenue from them. And obviously then providing an unbelievable experience for our users. Without the users, we're also nowhere. So it's kind of the chicken and the egg, obviously, of we need the venue and then we need the users. And fortunately, the venues that we're partnering with are the biggest, most popular, have the crowds. So they make that part, much easier to get their avid avid users and fan base onto our platform.
Awesome. And let me ask you this. What is the craziest campus marketing stunt that you guys think you've ever done?
So it had to have been day one with the email blast to the 40,000 students, right? That's up there. Another one of my favorites
Did you use your name, by the way?
No.
I had to ask.
I feel sometimes I'm scared telling the story because I feel like they'll retract my degree at Wisconsin.
Give us back your degree.
Yeah. So that one was obviously special because it was day one and it was kind of crazy. But another one of my favorites is Nick early on at Penn State did and again, this is where I say nothing needs to be perfect, right? If you focus on perfection, like you'll never get anywhere. So instead of having, one of us whip up a nice Photoshop design of a sign and going and getting it printed at the sign shop and whatever, Nick decides to do a stencil sign at Penn State saying, skip the line at Champs and First, which were two of our first bars at Penn State, and just walked around and would knock on fraternity doors and hold up the sign and just walk down, the Greek houses and just walk around town with this very shitty stenciled sign. And who knows if that worked, but it was hilarious. And we still have that photo to this day of him holding that. And it's funny to look back on. But I think one of our best marketing stunts that we do, and it is kind of crazy, is we do bar crawls. So we always joke that we are not a bar crawl company, but we happen to throw the world's largest bar crawls. So we do these at about 40 to 50 campuses a year. Most campuses have multiple themes. So we do a back to school, like SantaCon version right before winter finals. We do a fake Patty's Day one. And then we do like a graduation, summer send off one. So we do these a few times throughout the year. And we get thousands of people to download the app, purchase a shirt on the app, and then go on this crazy, crazy bar crawl, which is one of we call it like a yearbook moment where it's like one of their most fun college memories. And these students collect the shirts over the years and hang them up. It's like a jersey collection. Oh, yeah. It's awesome. So that has been an incredible way of getting new users, getting new bars signed on because we're able to show our strength and show what we're able to produce on their campus. And a great way to just get these users acclimated to what LineLeap is from day one of the start of the semester. And we quite literally through the world's largest bar crawl, we wanted to get Guinness involved, but they charge an arm and a leg and they make it super impossible. So it's an unofficial world record, but we had 13,500 crawlers at University of Iowa for a fake Patty's Day crawl this past year. So that's probably our favorite marketing stunt that we do.
Getting Guinness soon. Guinness is coming. Come on, Guinness. Yep. If you're seeing this podcast, let's go.
Send this to Guinness.
Right.
Just to tell them how full of shit they are. Anyway, okay. What would you say is one of the best pieces of advice that you have for a 20-year-old aspiring founder to close out? Maybe a great piece of advice that you've previously received. I know you've done a lot of crazy things and grit is one of the biggest ones, but what's maybe something else that you could give us today?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of keep going back to it, but it is like just get started, right? If you have the idea, just get it out in the world. You don't wait to make it perfect. Don't wait to have the perfect product or the perfect marketing plan or write a business plan out or any of that. Just get it out in the world, get it in people's hands, and then iterate and build from there. Get their feedback, talk to customers, get what they think, do all that. And you can always build upon it, always iterate, but nothing's going to be perfect from the start. Just get started. And then, I think it comes back to that resilience. Like if you keep showing up time and time again, if you keep putting your resume on the top of the pile as Vin did, if you keep showing up to the bars 8, 9, 10 times like we did, eventually you're going to beat them down and they're either going to block you from ever entering the building again, or eventually they're just going to say yes and give you a chance, and then you got to make the most of that chance. So
I love it.
Max book coming soon.
Max is gonna write a book one day. It's gonna be called Book Leap, and it's gonna be at the very front of Barnes and Nobles. It'll jump in front of everybody else's books.
There you go.
At the end of it, because I can say it, it's not Max. It's going to say, "F you, Guinness. You missed your opportunity."
Right. And then in the front, it's gonna say to all the aspiring entrepreneurs who have yet to take the leap, just do it, you bitches. So a lot of good tokens.
13,500 beer crawls here, like rose up to over 1.5 million users, 600 customers, great corporation with his best friends. Let's go.
Don't forget fast growing. They're exponentially growing.
I need to move to New York. I need to get better friends.
It's been a ton of fun. I think that's the key to it too. And we're super fortunate, and we feel like there's a long way to go. So we're taking it day by day.
Hey, are you allowed to say who's one of the coolest investors that you have invested in your company, or is that not disclosable?
No, it's disclosed. I think to rattle off a couple, the chain smokers is one of them. So they've been huge for us, super nice. And anytime we're out in Vegas and they're playing, or in New York and they're playing, they're fun to hang out with.
You know, I like the chain smokers. They're one of my favorite artists. I'm just saying.
Yep.
Just saying.
Yep, they're good dudes, and they've been a huge help, and so that's probably one of the most notable.
Love it. Awesome. Well, Max, this has been a phenomenal episode with you, my man. Can you tell people how they too can start LineLeaping? And is there anything else that they could do to get involved in the ecosystem with you, your company, or your products? Go ahead, promote yourself here to the audience.
Yeah. I mean, we're always looking for more bars that have long lines. So if you know of them and they don't have LineLeap yet, let us know. You can either message me directly on LinkedIn, Instagram, reach out to LineLeap on Instagram, but let us know the bars we need. We're always looking for those. Obviously, if you're talented and willing to get into the craziness, also feel free to reach out. We're always looking for top talent. So here to chat. And other than that, download the app, check it out, let us know where we need to be, and we'll get there.
Awesome. Well, there you have it, folks. A phenomenal story with my man Max here of grit and resilience. So Max, thank you so much for being on the show. Hang around for a minute afterwards. I got one more thing to tell you. And really, thanks for sharing some great wisdom in what it takes to truly build a organization. As always, people, don't forget to like, share, follow, subscribe, comment, and let us know what you thought of the episode. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm your host, Vin End.
And I'm Shane.
And that was Max. See you, everybody.
Bye, guys.
See you guys.